All right, let's get rocking. Excited to be here with you guys. We got a great venue or menu, whatever we want to call it today. All right, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the beard model. Just kidding. Justin Udy. What's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, brother. Hey, so fun to be here with you. Sometimes I reflect on these friendships, and I was reflecting on just the number of years. I was actually yesterday was looking at how old Everest is, and then of course with the previous company before that, I think we're well over 20 plus years of association, friendship, and working together. And I've watched you literally from being a new licensee and just being able to be part of your journey has been quite epic. And you've had an incredible 2024, not only personally from your personal investments, but from real estate. And then of course from just the pure real estate sales. And you really cover kind of all the gamuts. I watch you flip homes, I watch you invest in properties and homes and apartments and different projects. I watch you of course, run an amazing team. I watch your personal production, and you got your hands in a few different things, and you're doing all of them exceptionally well and being very, very profitable in all of those endeavors. So, with that, let me ask you this. Let's just start here. How long have you been in the business? Even though
This is year 18, going on 19 in May. So I started in lending. I did loans for like 2, 3 years, and then a full-time licensed agent for like 18 years.
yeah, yeah, that's great. And just in regards to your journey, I mean, you've been right there at the heart of it, where you've seen this transition from individual agents to small teams, large teams, mid-level teams, and from that standpoint, I mean, you've gone through at least two, maybe three market shifts that have been substantial, for sure two that I can right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. What advice would you give to an agent just starting out today?
I mean, you first of all, you just got to make sure that you're not distracted. You're not distracted by other people. You're not distracted by yourself and your own bad habits, and you're not distracted by anything that's happening around you, because you can really accomplish what you want to accomplish if you pursue it. I'd also say too, you really have to realize that it's a business of, you have to be forward thinking. You have to make sure that you're doing the work every day. Like the day, your business day is to build business. It's after that time frame to build your skills. I think we get that a little bit backwards, where we think that we can use our day to okay, I've got today, I'm gonna go through and learn this and learn this and learn that. It's like that is not your business day. Your business day is to grow your business. And then after those hours is when really you're going to make it your craft. So you improve, and then you can bring that back the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded of the late Jim Rohn statement, who said, "Work harder on yourself than you do at your own job." Because to your point, there's the responsibility of doing the work, working in the business. And I've always said it this way, where I'm going to spend the daylight hours, the hours where I can work in the business, I'm going to work in it. And then to your point, after hours, either or before hours, after hours, weekends, different things of that sort, I'm going to work on the business and build the business during that time. And part of building that business, to your very point, is building yourself.
Totally. No, absolutely. It's hard because you're always getting distracted by different things, whether it be news reports, clients reaching out during certain time frames. I mean, even people that are part of your team, whether it be your lender or your title company or whatever. And you just have to make sure that you're using your time to build your business first, and everything else is a distraction. It's that 80-20 rule. I mean, 80% of your time needs to be business building, and then 20% of your time managing it. And we get it backwards. It's like we're only spending 20% of our time doing those things, as opposed to, and I mean, it's just because we get distracted. And so people just need to know, like, I'm going to get to that, but it's going to be after 12 or after this or after that. Because I mean, how many times do you get stuck doing addendums or contracts or different things because you need to do that? you're doing it during the prime hours of reaching out to people, doing follow-ups, stuff that would create business as opposed to just managing business. Do that in the time frame that are the most lowest productive hours.
Absolutely. So jump into that just a little bit. What would you say are some of the core things that you make sure happen every single day? And whether, working, of course, is, having a successful team, to you as an individual agent, what would you say are the priorities today of a strong, effective business? What would be the let's just say the 2 or 3 things would be your focus points in a day to have success?
I mean, to have a strong, effective business, you have to be a strong, effective person. So every day, I get up at 4:40. I do that so that I can get up, I can pray, I can read and reflect, I can get water. I can make sure that I'm reading something to kind of just like get in my mind that positive mindset, like the direction that I'm going. I'll go to the gym, make sure that that's just number one priority to make sure I'm physically feeling strong and healthy. I mean, one of the things is I think it's you want to be proud of yourself, the way you feel, the way you look, the way that you want to be proud of like the things you've done that day. And so if you can do that, you're essentially, once you're proud of yourself, no matter what happens that day, it doesn't really matter because you've taken care of yourself to be your best self. And you're like, no, I did my best today. But then I'll get home, I like to make breakfast for my boy. If my girl's around, she'll have it, but she's like normally never eats. But like to take him to school, and then your day begins just like making sure that you are reaching out to people. And my schedule's a little different now because I tend to do a lot of stuff in the morning where I'm doing a lot of like follow up and try to get those things out early. But making sure that you know that those hours between 8 and 11 are your golden hours for prospecting and reaching people, and also that 4 to 6 hour is your golden hours to reach and prospect. So it's like if you have no business at all, you need to be doing both times. You know what I mean? If you're doing 3 to 5 deals and you have that in your pipeline, then yeah, you may only be able to do one or the other, but you can never skip it because otherwise you'll have that roller
Right.
coaster of income. But the goal is to get clients and keep clients. And I think that's the thing is like that is your goal every day. So as you're doing that, just remember the reinforcement of the follow up after the sell, whether it be through making sure you're following up on a phone call that you have in your system as a reminder, whether it's you're doing some sort of a touch. I would just recommend you have a touch system of what your follow up system is, because just as much of our business is coming from past clients and past referrals as the business that we kind of find or create
Right.
market. You know.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, let's switch gears just a little bit. In regards to building wealth and building a strong economic future, and from whether it's investments, whether it's cash on hand, whether it's liquid investments, or assets such as investments like real estate. What would just be, tell me just your thoughts, just maybe like your top 1 or 2 thoughts in regards to wealth and wealth building, money, investing. If someone said, hey, tell me how you think about money, tell me what you think about or what you believe about money, share with me how you handle your money. What would you say in relationship to wealth and abundance, investments, the freedoms that come with that? What would you have to say about, and advice would you give anybody in regards to wealth?
Yeah. So I'd first say that you have to master the income business to be able to master the investment business. Because without the income, you cannot invest. I think a lot of people feel like if I can just get into an investment, but actually it's a job because they're buying that to produce income to replace their sales income. And I think I'll tell you over time, I've met with a number of agents, uh, seasoned agents, guys that I've even been in the business with, that I've even in the last 30, 60, 90 days that have said, hey, can we talk? And each one of them have slowly kind of said, like, I wish I would have stuck to my sales business because now I'm doing this, but I have no income from this. And so I would just say make sure that you're always keeping your sales business very high, because when you have a very high income business, it gives you the ability to get into the investments. And you do have to have the goal of putting it somewhere. Long time ago, it was Aaron Richardson actually that had told me, and he just said, he's like, I drain my bank accounts. And I was like, I don't, and I was like, I said, I don't understand what you mean you drain your bank accounts. He said, no, like I literally, whatever money I have coming in from myself, my business, I'm putting it in, getting it out so that I can get hungry to put it back in. And that really, really resonated with me of saying, no, that makes sense. But I think you have to have those goals to want to purchase those things, and you want to have to do it. So whether it be stocks, bonds, whatever investment asset class you're looking at, it just has to be a consistent. And I do believe you have to master that. And I'm not a huge believer of like, keep your eggs all over the place. I'm just like, look, as long as I keep it one place, I know cycles occur. So I have to think, I'm not thinking this year, I'm thinking 3 to 5 to 7 to 10-year cycles. Like I'm fine putting it in there. And so, but also I think just from a standpoint of growth, by having those things in place, it's going to be very difficult to do, number one. And then part two is every time you get into something and you pull the trigger, there is something inside of you that changes and it levels up, because you're like, okay, I now have this new responsibility. And then there's going to be new tasks, new challenges, new things that will come your way, what will help you become a better and more skilled person for the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time. So, I remember, and every property you ever purchase, like just know you're always going to be nervous. Every property I've ever purchased, I purchased one duplex, and the lowest point of the market, when the market hit in 2011, I bought a duplex for 76 grand in the 9th and 9th area. And again, it was a hole. It needed every piece of renovation. It had literally a hole in the roof. But I remember thinking, I'm paying too much. I am paying too freaking much. And so I just want to remind everybody, you're always going to feel like you're paying too much. You'll never, ever feel like you're getting the deal of a decade, ever. And that was, and so was the next property. And so was the next property as I look back. Okay. So just being nervous is normal. But you do have to stop listening. You have to stop talking to yourself. You need to listen to yourself. Because if you feel compelled to do something, you've got to do it, because there's something inside of you beckoning you to improve and to be better and to improve yourself. And so you need to follow that guide, because over time it will die. And you see that with people where they just climb, and they just plateau, and they just kind of live a living death of just like no improvement, no change, no growth, as opposed to like listening to themselves of like, okay, like I'm being called to be better. I'm called better,
Right.
to be a better human. But in the end, it's like this, it's like every amount of knowledge and information I have that you've accumulated in you, it's like you become that person. So in the end, you can just give it to others, you can compact their time with the efforts, challenges. I mean, I hope somebody that just hears, okay, I was going to buy that thing, but I freaking chickened out. That's a normal feeling. I'm going to buy the next one. It will change your life just by that one thing, because you've leveled up and you've kind of mastered the direction you're going. And I think that's
I
the
like
thing.
that.
We're always distracted, right? But as far as with investments, it has to always be an investment goal. You have to always be pursuing it. You always have to be taking money off the table. I would say every single month. I have accounts that I've always been really good at knowing that that's my investment account. But some people just kind of keep it in one. And I just say, hey, open up another account and just every month stick money in there. And then, if you feel like you're like, I'm never going to save enough, great. Put it in a high yield savings account that's earning 4 or 5% rather than 0.011%, and see that grow incrementally 2, 3, 4 grand a year, because you're adding to it. And then when you're ready, because you've earned the right to do the next thing, you're going to be so much more proud of yourself, because you're like, this is what it takes. And then the next time it's just this much easier. And then the next time it's this much easier, and it's just because you've kind of built that. It's just like going, to the gym. You've built that repetition over time to like make the improvements, and then it becomes very normal. And then you're trying to push yourself more. But had I not bought my duplex, I would have never got my fourplex. Had I not got the fourplex, I wouldn't have got the eightplex. Had I got the eightplex, I wouldn't have got the little mini commercial building. Had we not that, we wouldn't have bought the strip mall. You know, like it was all incremental growth. It was never, well, I'm just going to get into commercial because it's more lucrative. Dude, I wasn't prepared for that. I wouldn't even know how to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So growth over time is the key.
So one of the things, and which is you are spot on. Go back to what you said. One of the things I've seen, and you certainly have addressed it, and I want to address it again, and that is the number of agents that get themselves into trouble because they focus on these investments, and the challenge is they haven't figured out how to create a consistent cash flow. So the issue is, right, you have two parts to this. The first part is your ability to create a cash flow that's consistent through your sales process. And then the second part is because you have that consistent cash flow, like when you're speaking of Aaron Richardson and others who, okay, I have this cash flow that comes in. Now I can begin to invest pieces and parts of this money that I'm bringing in because I know that there'll be consistency to that. And the challenge I've seen is so many agents have gotten themselves into really big trouble where they jump to the investment side of the equation and then they lack the cash flow pieces to that game. And I think that the freedom to being able to do what you're doing has so much to do with the the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you bring in every single year from the predictability of your cash flow. So let me ask you this then. So if you were to narrow it down in regards to creating consistent cash flow, we know that will come from consistent prospecting. It will come from consistent focuses of our mindset, skill sets, and disciplines. For you, how do you keep yourself just simply believing? You know, this next month, March, I stood up at a summit and I said, hey, get yourself in order. There are things that are going to be coming at you. And at the time, I said I believed it was going to be a 2-year process. We now, next month, will be into 3 years of a decline in the game of real estate. It doesn't mean other segments and sectors, as you've spoken to, are succeeding. But what would you say in today's marketplace would be the one or two things that you would be doing to elevate your mindset, your belief system, that you believe that real estate is going to continue to grow, continue to be sold, continue to operate? What are the things you've sold yourself on and the things that you do consistently to make sure that you have consistent cash flow?
So okay, so it's a really good question, and I know I'm not trying to repeat myself, but literally that's why I do what I do every morning. Because when I wake up, first of all, I think I'm like, there's no way it's already time to get up. You know what I mean? That's first thing. And then number two is I just say I have to get my feet on the floor. And as soon as I do that, I will tell you I wake up very negative, right? I wake up with all the burdens that we all feel of, oh my gosh, like this is going on. I've got this thing, this is going bad. This
Sure.
is all the thunderstorms, right? That come in. And it is in that moment every single day where it's like, no, this is what's happening and this is where I'm going. And that's why you have your, I mean, just one page, just like people have a resume, you have it in front of you of where you are going. And it can be one bullet point, it can be 10, but mine I have mine for me that makes sense for me. It's just like, this is where I want to go. Like 3 and 5 year plans, like this is the direction. This is how many properties. This is how much cash flow, like direction. You know what I mean? And so any plane ride you've ever taken, there is turbulence. So it's just like, but it hits its destination as long as you get through the turbulence. And that's the thing. That's all that is to me. So I'm just getting my head straight. I'll always read something. And that one thing will be like, that's right. Like I think on my Instagram today, it just talked about, I was reading, it was a Tony Robbins thing. So my quote on my Instagram is on there. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just like, you know, just know like you can make the direction you go, right? Like you're the source of change. And so when I get going, I will always say when you're getting into a high frequency state every day, you're putting yourself from that low, which I physically wake up at, to the highest speed. Every single time I'm at the gym, every time I'm like 3/4 through, every time I'm thinking about people, like people come to my mind of who I should call, like the deals that have been weird. Like I'm like, this is, oh my gosh, like this is all I got to do. Like your problem solving, your ability to just like, you become your best self. And so you're essentially in a different mindset, right? And you're in a different mindset because you have physically put yourself in a different environment. And I see people like got other folks in our industry at the gym in the morning and they'll be like, dude, what do you think? And I do, and I'm just like, I think it's really bad for a lot of people, but I know what we're doing and I know what I'm going to do. And I just know I'm not going to stop. And it's like, there's days on a Friday night, I will be here till 7 o'clock. This weekend I worked on 2 different deals. Well, I worked on 4 different deals, but here I just want to let you know, like I'm not too good for anything. One was a mobile home for 45,000 bucks working on, and when one was a $3.2 million deal, and they're both the same amount of work. But I will never be like, my time isn't worth it. It's like, no, no, no. This little deal is why I can do this deal. You know what I mean? And it's just like, don't be too picky. Like, don't think you're too good for anything. I think that's the thing. They're like, I'm too good for this condo. I'm too good for this. No, you're not too good. It's like you've got to earn the right and then make sure that you're serving, because you actually become more well-rounded and thorough because these folks have just as many referrals as these ones, you know. And yeah, over
Right.
time you may be specializing and helping, but you're never can be too good, you know what I mean? And I think that's just I think it's just important to know, like, if you want to truly have the cash flow, the business, the sales, you have to make sure your mindset is is in a place every single moment, every day. And even if it's not, like, you'll have the lulls, you've got to get up and put in the direction. Do not get on the phone. Do not follow up with the clients. Like, do not do those things, because every interaction is an ability for you to grow your business. Because when you're completely professional, think about it, folks. Like, most of the people that contact us, over 50% of the time, are actually in a kind of bad situation, you know? They're
Yep.
behind on payments, they're getting a divorce, they're freaking sick, they got cancer, like they don't even want to take this job. They're just making too little at this one. They're not in a good place. Like, you have to be the source of the answer as a person operating at a high frequency, so that they're like, every time I talk to them, like, not only do they have all the answers, but man, they sure make me feel good. Like, they're just like, there's something about that. Like, I talk a lot about, like, when you meet somebody, you're like, dude, that was just like a weird vibe, you know? And it's because you're operating at a different frequency, you know?
Right.
They're at a weird vibe. Like, they're literally weird, as opposed to, you're like, no, I've worked on myself. I've worked on my mind, physically, mental, spiritually. Like, I'm where I want to be right now. And like, I'm going to give that to my folks. I'm going to provide this. Everything I have inside me, I'm going to give it to that person. That's why we talk about, hey, you need to give world-class customer service to everybody, but it's because you've put yourself in that position. So focus on that business so the sales are high. That sales business by creating opportunities through every single person. But don't think you're a good investor just because you're in real estate. That's the other
Where do
thing.
you, okay, well said. Where do you think this market's going? So I just said we're about 3 years into it. What would be your best guess? Or how are you selling yourself on the idea to just keep going? Where we want to often look outside of ourselves for the answers from the markets, market conditions. What would you say if you have a client who says, "Where do you think the market's going, Justin?" What's your answer?
I say national average would say we're supposed to see about 3 to 4% increases. I don't think we'll see that here locally. But then again, we saw 26% increase here locally in 1 year, and other places never saw that. So we probably seen the growth, and we're still seeing a little bit of the management of that. Part two of that is in migration is actually for the first time bigger than it's ever been, as opposed to net migration locally. I'm like, so we're seeing more people come in than we are seeing the local growth, where we're not having as many kids, we're not seeing as many people locally, purchase. I'm like, so in knowing there is demand coming in, as well as the amount of housing that is needed, the amount of shortage of units. I say, I see demand in the market means that that drives housing. So is there going to be 3 to 4% change? Probably not. probably maybe 1 or 2%. But the 1 or 2% change, you're going to see demand in the market if you do the following criteria. You're pricing it where it needs to be priced. You've made the condition to match that price, and you're making sure it gets showcased and marketed and exposed at the highest level by what we tell you to do and how we tell and what we do to market. If you do those things, you will be a seller where other people will sit and you will sell. But you have to know the process, you have to know our system, and you have to make sure that you know what to do and how to do it, you know? And then I just say, but you're going to see growth. And so even an investor that we got into a property, I took out some folks on Friday that were investors, and they asked the same thing, you know, and I just said, look, you're going to see lower cash flows, lower rents. I go, but over time, maybe the rate will go down, maybe not. I'm like, there's two things that will protect you. And this is for agents too. You have to have equity and you have to have cash flow. And that'll make you bulletproof in any market. Because if you have cash flow, whether the prices go up or down, you don't care, you know, but just make sure you keep a 6-month reserve in every property, you know, because then when the storm hits, the water heater goes out, you know, on one of our properties, the water heater went out, you know, I was like, I really didn't give a rip, you know, I was like, okay, cool, put a new one in. He's like, how much you want to spend? I go, I really don't care. Just put it in, you know, because there's literally 6 months reserve sitting there for that purpose. And frankly, like when you have that, like when a deal comes up, you can look at those accounts and you say, okay, you know, and I kind of got an excess in these accounts, and you use that for the investment because it's an investment account, you know? So sometimes common sense is not common practice. And you just have to think about what makes sense here, you know, but you have to be super strategic, you know, but you have to believe in yourself, that you're going to work on yourself every day. Be proud of yourself. And when you're proud of yourself, you're going to convey a different message and a different frequency to people. And even though if you're maybe not the most skilled person, if you're like, just they know, like they're proud of themselves, like they're happy, like there's something they are just doing that I want to be a part of, they're going to feel that. And so then you can get third party help. You know, you have brokers, you have information, you have knowledge, you can get the bullet point. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know like the top 3 to 5 things to do to get to the next step or move it down the pipeline. You know, it's
Right.
when you're alone and you try to do it on your own, you sound like an idiot. Like, it's just like, we can't do that. Even me, like I have to reach out to things all the time. Like, I need some help on this because if I call them and give this, I really don't know, but I just need the top 3 to 5 things. And it may be an attorney, a CPA, another broker, another agent. It may be just calling somebody in the neighborhood that just sold a property and just saying, what are the top 3 things you saw happen? You know, and next thing you know, you show up to the listing appointment and say, let me tell you, when I talk to the agents that have sold homes in this area, what their top 5 things were. You've just separated yourself from all of the competition because nobody's called any of those people. So don't think you have to be like give everything. Just be like a newspaper. You know what I mean? Like, get information from all sources and then give it.
So from that, when you talk about just the market, the clientele that you work with, for you, what is it that, you know, you're coming up on 20 years? What is it that does keep you going? What is it that keeps you fired up? What is it that keeps you coming in? What still gets you up at, you know, 4+ in the morning or whatever, you know, you said 4:20 or 4:40, whatever it was, but what keeps you going? What is it that makes you stay in that drive? You and I have had conversations that you certainly are in a position that if you chose to today and you wanted to retire, you could, right?
Yeah, no, we
So
can.
what keep
There's
so
enough cash flow for
so
sure.
yeah, so what keeps you going?
I mean, I guess the thing is it's like, I don't know. I think I do know. It's just like, I just know I don't want to stop, you know, like you have to do something. And I just like, yeah, like I'm not going to go golf, you know, I'm not going to go hang
Whoa,
out with
hold
my
on.
buddies
Just
all day. Hey, and if you want to
just
go, but it's like all day, you know what I
right,
mean?
right,
It's
right.
like we're designed to live with some sort of purpose. So it's like, yeah, if I had something else I was gonna do, it makes sense. But it's like, I mean, think about every person that's done some early retirement or gone on this year or two expedition, like they come back after a freaking year and they're like, I'm bored, you know?
Right. Ready to get back
And
at it.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, so take like, mini sabbaticals, and get your head straight or do whatever. But I mean, you really, I don't know. I just don't think that number one, I do think I have an obligation to be a model to my kids. I don't want them to see a dad that just sits home. I want them to see that he's out working, he's out doing what not only a man should do, but also what a good citizen would do. I think I'm an example for like the people that I work with, like literally not only my team, but like the people we serve. So they want to know that I'm like doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And that's why a lot of times I document my stuff even on like my stories and Instagram. So they're like, man, they're like always doing something. So I mean, folks, I'll tell you that $3 million deal came because of social media. That there was no other reason. I mean, he was a past client, but he had two other partners, and we'd used him in the past, but that property was on the market for 9 months with another
Right.
agent. And he saw the story, saw the stuff we were doing on other things. He's like, hey, and he kind of started the conversation, listed it. We had it under contract in 2 weeks. So just know like you gotta make sure you're reaching out to people. So it's like, and don't think this is the one thing I want to say, George, is um, don't think that if you're saying, well, I'm going to do social media, great. You have to reach out via social media and message 30 people a day if you're calling 30 people a day. Like it has to be a tool. It can't just be, well, I think I did this amazing video and it's going to hit 400 people. I'm going to sit back and hope and pray they come back to me. No, 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 no.
Right.
If you did that, every single person that reaches back out to you or hearts it or whatever, you're going to direct message them. Like that's I think where people get it. They're not using it as a tool to prospect. They're using it as a like, I hope and pray that this sticks against the wall.
Yeah.
So
I think you're spot on. One of the things I years ago started doing is that when I'm responding to those social medias, is to your point, a DM, to where not even just where it's a written text, but even elevating it to where it's either a voice memo in so many words or a actual quick little vid back and forth, and making sure that you're creating that engagement. Because the key to your sphere, we all know this, the key to our sphere is engagement. And so
right.
whether you get the engagement to your point of making 30 phone calls to them, or you're making 30 contacts in regard to social media through some level of engagement through either text, voice, or video and slash voice, the reality is that if you can get engagement, good things are going to happen. How many people are in your sphere today?
We have that we direct mail a little over 1,500 people. So that's people we have served, helped, have been like we've done business with them, right? And so that's I'd probably say 1,500. I mean, if I looked, maybe it's 16, 1,700, but if I it's over 1,500. It's under 2,000 for sure.
Look, at the end of the day, for predictability, duplication, business getting easier, sales prices going up, people not asking you, okay, what are you still doing? Are you still in real estate? It's our sphere. It's our past clients, those we've had interactions with, those we've done business with, those we potentially may have be doing business with. Give me one or two things, just a highlight, the golden nuggets of what you would recommend in regards to someone working with their sphere. What would you say? Hey, just make sure you do blank. What would be one or two of those blanks?
All right. I would say make sure that you're doing follow up in one way or another, meaning that you want to make sure that you're connecting with them either by a phone call, you're connecting with them by mail, you're connecting with them through an event. You want to hit them at least. Again, if you look at Gary Keller's book, he talks about this whatever touch.
24 touch. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I'll tell you
Or
what I do.
32 or 30, 32. So yeah, exactly. But yeah, touches, right?
Yeah, it's touches, and it's so much easier now because it's like, I mean, you can use bomb, like where you shoot a
Right.
message and you send it to people, because they just the issue is this: you could just legit I mean, I could shoot a bomb right now, like with my phone, right? And I'm just going to say, hey, everybody, guess what? Interest rates went to 3. Hope everything is going well. Just, we're at the very 1st of February. Here's kind of my predictions of just what I think. I give 2 seconds of what I think, Interest rates are still the same. If they drop, great. If they don't, I'll tell you, inventory is actually pretty high. Watch in a month or two. Watch how many people come in the market. So if you're looking to sell, consider, do you need to make an adjustment now before you end up getting a number of homes on the market? If you're a buyer, should you buy now before everybody else jumps in the market in a month and takes those good properties, Anyway, I'm here to navigate you. I'm going to get you the details. There are some great deals. You should look at them. And if you're not, that's okay. But if you're ready, let me know. And then that's it. And then you shoot it out. It'll never be perfect. In fact, probably the sucky thing is the worse the video is, you're like, that sucks, is when the people actually call you. When you do this amazing one, nobody ever even, recognizes it, right?
Well,
So
it's authentic, vulnerable, and real.
yeah. So I have done a couple things and again, this was me just trying to figure out how can I reach the people, because I literally, I'm not going to call all of them. Like, I wish I was that person that would just get on the phone and call every single one of them. I'm not going to do it. I have other things I want to do. But I will, I do 2 educational videos. I send them to them every single month. Okay. I do that through a company called Viral Marketing. I think I pay like over $600 a month to them to do these stupid 2 videos. It's a waste of money. Do not put money in that unless you don't have the time to do it, right? You can do your own stuff and send it to your own people of 50, 100, 200 people. This is going to like over 2,000 people, right? And over 3,000. So I want somebody else to just like help me with it, right? So I do that. Every other month, I write a newsletter. I still write a newsletter. We've written our newsletter for over 10 years, probably almost 14 years now. And again, it doesn't have to be, it just could be a 1-pager. I like it. I enjoy it. It's something I enjoy doing, but it also makes me like think through the market. And so when you ask me a question like, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Well, I'm not just telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I've thought about, what I've researched, what I've read into in my off hours. You know what I mean? So that, and then when I formulate it, I'm physically sending it to the clients. I just want them to have it in front of them. We'll always get 1 or 2 deals every single time we do a newsletter, every single time. And again, it's been the same freaking thing. I'll tell you, it's just, you just follow and it's 3 or 4 pages. It's a simple formula, but it's just getting something in front of them. And then we do have a couple events every year. I try to do 3, but sometimes it ends up only being 2, but they're costly. Like the last one was like 10 G's, but it's like, again, we had 250 people show up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And,
yeah. Well, I mean, when
4
you have
people
15,
talk to us about, I have this deal, come talk to me about it, so.
exactly. Well, and the one word that is screaming in my head is that you're stating consistency over content. And of course, you certainly said, hey, I enjoy doing the newsletter, but in the end, it's the consistency. It's the consistency of the client appreciation. It's the consistency of the newsletter. It's the consistency of social media. It's the consistency of the marketing, even if it's through a company like Viral Marketing. The reality is it's the consistency over the content. Now, can you have both? I always say, of course, you can have some good content and you can still be consistent. But the core that I watch with people in this business, I always say that one of the biggest mistakes I ever made early on in my career, it took me years to get after it, which was, what am I specifically doing with that sphere, that database, those past clients? And I really just ignored it for nearly 5 or 6 years into the first parts of my career. So I love the fact that you're doing that. Let's switch gears. What book or audio or podcast download, what have you been listening to? What's hot on your mind? What would you recommend? Hey, someone should read this or listen to that. What advice would you give?
I mean, I think as far as starters, I mean, I think just that there's a book called The Slight Edge, which talks about consistency and discipline, and just like really just the one thing it said in there that I remember has always resonated with me is like, it's not what you're doing today. Everything you do will compound. And we talk about like compound interest, the penny that doubles every single day versus you take the penny in 20 days versus 30 days. I mean, have you ever heard that? And it's just like the crazy amount. And it isn't just money, it's the efforts and things you make. You know what I mean? So I mean, even like in George, like even this weekend, like so I did it was like, can't remember, it was like Friday night or something. And I'm like, gosh, we haven't I just put a question out and I'm like, hey, ask me anything, And somebody asked me if there was three different questions that came through on social media. So I answered them on social media. And then a guy that I went to high school with was like, hey, I've been looking for a property. I want to do something, blah, 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 blah. And so I messaged him back. And I just say, like, be be urgent. Be urgent in your responses. Be urgent in getting back to people. Sometimes it's like, no, 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 it's the weekend. No, 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 just get back to them. Hurry, just get back very quickly because it just shows a little bit of a different. People don't respond. Like people sometimes think like, no, 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 I'm busy right now. If you're too busy, like they're just going to move on, and that's going to be your attitude because that's who you are, right? You're too busy for them. Like you're literally putting that vibration out to them. So they should use somebody else. So if you're not getting back to them immediately, but book sites, so that Slide Edge, anything from Tony Robbins to get your head right, Ed Milet, David Goggins has some great books, Jim Rohn, any of even the old books. If you're going to listen to podcasts, I just listen to things that are maybe business building type stuff. I mean, there's there's a thing called with Andy Frisella has one called the MF CEO, but he kind of drops the F bomb a lot. So just, don't let your kids listen, I guess. And then, I mean, as far as, and again, a lot of times if I'm listening to things, I save a couple different folks that I'll listen to. But mainly, you just always have to be putting something in front of you. And I always say, just follow like where your gut is. Like, I feel like that's something I should read. Then you should probably read that one, because something's pushing you to do that. But you got to just like, there's this law of diminishing demand, right? Where it's like, as soon as you hear something, even on this, like if you heard one thing, you need to do something with it today, or you will never do anything with it. If you hear of something, like you order it like while you're on the call, because you're like, I got to hurry and do this because it over time we just something else is going to happen. So just again, everything with urgency is going to be important. But reading and listening, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, I have an Audible account. So anytime I'm like listening to something like this, I'll hurry and like download it. So there's 3 or 4 other books like that I have in place that I haven't started. But like I'm always going back to like just I don't know, I'm always going back to different books like that I'm like, I want to hear that again. A lot of times it's Tony Robbins stuff just because
Sure.
it's so comprehensive. And I'll maybe just listen to certain chapters that I'm just like, I want to hear that again on my way to this appointment or on my way here or on my way there. Sometimes I don't want to listen to any of it. I just want to like think in my own thoughts. Sometimes I won't listen to anything. Sometimes I'll freaking bang the music till like my ears are bleeding, So I just,
That's right. The good old DJ days, right?
yeah, I can't hear anyway, so whatever,
That's right. That's right. All right. So let me ask you this. What's next for Justin Udy? Someone who's achieved so much, accomplished a tremendous amount, especially in our business. Someone who's had tremendous success in not only from an investment standpoint, a sales standpoint. What's next for Justin Udy?
I mean, I just say, I think that I mean, again, I'm not a huge buyer of things, right? You know that, but I do believe when you buy things, it levels you up mentally. Like this is something that I'm going to go do, and this is something that I'm going to accomplish, and it just will change. It just changes something in you. So, I mean, I see like things such as like making sure I'm like, getting a new home, making sure probably getting like new cars, different things, going to different things with my kids. I mean, again, I'm in a different season where it's like I'm really trying to spend like full weeks away, where we're going places, So like we were in like Mexico over Thanksgiving, and then we'll go to Costa Rica over their spring break, and Again, and it's not about these exotic places. It's about like, I want these things for me of like, it requires me to level up mentally. Like, no, we're not going to St. George. We're going here. Like what does it take and who do I need to be to like make sure that's something they're like that I prioritize. I don't care if it's for them. Like, you know what I mean? I do. I mean, obviously when they'll have as much fun as St.
Sure,
George,
I get it.
right? But there
So
is a level of investments that I want to get to. I want to make sure that we're bringing in some cash flow that again is just different. And so I've been focused more on projects that are long-term projects as opposed to individual units. So, and again, like one of the projects was I found one that I told you about that was marketed on the MLS. It was marketed incorrectly. It was a 6 unit project, paid him cash with a partner because literally they needed cash in a week. And that thing will be 40 units, on that property with commercial, but we won't build it out for 3 to 5 years because I did that deal. They called me and said, hey, you stabilize this property super fast. We have another one that we purchased. If you'll help us do the same thing, would you want to buy into that one with us 50-50? And I was like, heck yes. So that one I purchased into on like December 20th, like a month ago, and we'll build 30 units on that one. And like, if you think about like, I legitimate, I will tell, I 390,000 bucks I wired to them, and I'm a partner in a project that'll build 30 units on, you know? And it was like, and it cash flows like at a 7% cap rate. Like it's a cash flowing property, you know? And
love
so
that.
I guess I'm just saying, like, had I not done this, I wouldn't have done that. But now that I do this, what else can I do? So I just would say what's next is more projects, uh, more growth, um, again, higher income in order that we're doing things. And I'm doing a lot more like personal coaching and training just because I feel like I'm being called to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing some accountability stuff. That's why I'm doing some investment stuff. That's why I'm doing just like a lot, even with the agents in the office, like some agent, helping them level up.
Right.
But those things are just, again, like I said, it's like there's little things that call you of like, what do I want to do? Yeah, I want to make sure our sales business is working. I want to make sure the investment is growing. I want to do some one-on-one stuff to help people, but also I want to make sure that the family's a priority because frankly, they'll be out of the house in a little bit. And I have a
Yeah.
frankly more people to take care of now than I did a couple years ago. So anyway.
Yeah, that's great. So let's just, as we begin to kind of wind down, and if anybody has a question or two, if you wanted to put it into the chat, you're welcome to. But let me ask you this: so, Justin, you're laying on your deathbed, hopefully many years from now, and someone asks you, "Was your life a success?" You respond with, "I would hope an affirmative yes," and then I ask you, "How come? Why was your life a success? What was important to you in your life?"
I would say, I would just say that he was tried to be the absolute best person he could be. Like every time I try, like even though if he was having a bad day or do whatever, like he tried to be the best he obviously could, but he gave everything away. You know, he gave everything he could. He tried to be his best so he could give it all away. And the other thing is it's stayed true to my values. I lifted others. Um, I would probably say that my family I was proud of myself, you know, but because of that, my family was proud of me, and and um, I don't know, you didn't just I didn't just live, I tried to win, and that was important to me, but not win like monetarily, like just accomplish, like be the best you could. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. What from the standpoint for you, what would you say makes your life purposeful? Which is
Um,
such a driving force of people's activity when they start looking like where their energy comes from, where their energy flows. Maybe it's another way to say it, but what makes life purposeful for you?
I mean, this sounds silly, but I just think we have an obligation, you know, like it's just like we have a stewardship to be the best we freaking can. And if we're not, like, it's kind of like people just die a slow death. Like they kind of, and again, it's like everybody's in a season, everybody goes through something. But it's like as we realize like the most worst and devastating things, like the choice is to either take that and learn from it and improve, or let it dominate you and you never get out of that
Right.
hole. And
Well,
so
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
that's it. Yeah.
Well, you look at the beautiful statement of Ben Franklin. I heard it a little bit differently from another friend, but I think Ben Franklin said most people die at 40 and are buried at 75.
Mm,
And I think there's a great message there that, you know, in the words of a Jim Rohn and a Tony Robbins, if you didn't know how old you are, how old would you act? Or if you are eternal, then what how then if your soul is eternal, then how old are you really acting, right? I mean, the thing is that there really is no age. It's just the age that we give ourselves and the way in which we choose to act based on either a slow death or we live, or in the words of Braveheart, some men you know, and so I watched Braveheart this last weekend with my daughter who had never seen it, and she's like, "Holy cow, that was a long movie! I didn't realize it was 3.5 hours long." And this whole history of Scotland, but they talked about the fact that most men never really live, and he talks about the fact of, you know, you may be alive, but did you really live? And
yeah.
he was talking about our freedoms that we each have and the freedom of life. So, in closing, any last thoughts, comments, advice to a struggling agent, an agent who is looking to go to the next level, looking to just break free of just the one deal a month, or a one deal a month, to two deals a month, or the person who's trying to say, hey, I want to build my team, or I want to go to the next level? What would be your advice in so many words? Just any person, no matter where they are, from whether they're in a place of struggle and need to get above it, to whether it's a person who's had great success but wants to get to the next level. What advice would you say to say, hey, this is how I got to the next level? This is maybe how I intend to get to the next level, because obviously you've been speaking of getting to the next levels of your life, economically and financially and physically and emotionally, spiritually. What advice would you have about getting to the next level? And then any other advice you have, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, no, my advice would be just like, don't look at me who I am today. Look at me who I was 18 years ago. Because who I am today is a totally different person, totally different thought process, totally different way of doing, thinking, and who I am. And so just know, like, as you may be looking, being like, dude, oh, I'm not, you may be somebody saying, like, yeah, I was there where he is now 5, 10 years ago. You know, other people are saying, man, I'll never be there. And so when you feel that gap, you have to know that, like, you haven't earned the right yet to be that. Like, you know, if you've only been in the business 2, 3 years or a year, then you only deserve 1 or 2 year income, because you have to put in the steps, right? You have to do the work. And just know that it is with patience and with time and with diligence, you know, like I was here Saturday too, you know, and it was, and I knew I had to come in. So I, like, the gym opens at 6. So I was made sure I was there at 6, worked out till 7, came here at like 7:30, did the stuff I needed to so that I could, you know what I mean? And I guess I'm just saying, like, it's never easy. Like, that's the thing, is people may be like, oh yeah, it's easy. It's like, no, 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 you got to understand, like, it's actually compounded. And so now your obligations, you have to take care of every single day. But just be worried about taking care of yourself, being proud of who you are as a human, as a person, of what you have and what you can give, but know that you're making the best person so that can overflow, right? You're overflowing in like income so that you can help people financially and you can provide money to them. At the end of the day, you need to be able to provide money to help others. Like, it's just, you can give as much hand helping as you can, but it's money is going to make a big difference to them. Be physically strong enough to be able to physically help them, right? So that you can have the stamina. But be spiritually or mentally strong enough, because people will come with you in this business with problems and issues. And you have to be able to at least not know it, but at least have known something where you can at least provide them some sort of wisdom or help that they've never heard, because you have worked on yourself so much that it's just that one phrase that just makes an impact. And I would say it sounds silly, but it's like even on some of these deals that I've made like the most money on, they've come back and said, you know, you said this one thing to me. And I'm like, that was more valuable to me than any money I ever got on the whole thing, you know? So I guess I'm just saying, like, and I know this is a business call, but I think the business of this you should know is just you become your best self, right? And by knowing who you need to be, you're going to see opportunities come your way because you're living in a different life way that 99% don't. You're taking care of your mind, you're taking care of your body, you're working on the business every single day. I mean, think how many agents really work on their business every single day? Hardly any of them. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like you're doing these small little things, and it's just like sometimes you just strike out, you get a big fat goose egg, you know, where you're like, nothing happened, but you're like, no, 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 no. I did everything I was supposed to be doing. So I'm proud of what I did today. As opposed to, which I've had these days too, I'm like, I had nothing happen today, and I'm not even proud of what I did. But
Yeah.
that's the inside of you saying, yeah, you can be better. Like listen to that voice in your body that's like, yeah, you can be better than that. You're better than that. And just follow that. And I think my recommendation is just the direction you need to go. Probably you've been beckoned to do it anyway. So just follow it. And then two, just know that you're going to do it every day and never stop. And when you do that, you will find answers within yourself. You'll be happy with yourself and proud of yourself. So even if you don't even make any money, you're like, dude, I feel I'm so happy with myself. Like I
Right.
feel like such a
Right.
rounded person. And then you'll find that you have the ability to help others, and that's what the business is about. Because the moment you're looking at the business and this and that, it's like there's so many times that you when you're giving, when you're just like genuinely. So what do you when you ask what keeps me going? It's like I feel like I have a duty to provide them more value than anybody else in the market. I just feel like they're getting, and this is no offense to our agents, right? But like I feel like if they go anywhere else, they're not going to get the service they deserve or that my life experience could provide them. So it's like it's my fiduciary duty. It's my stewardship to give back to them.
It's your moral compass.
Yeah, like I
It's to
have to.
help. Yep.
So that's what keeps me going, right? Because I just know I like this is what I have to do. I have to give back. And if I don't, then I'm selfish, you know, because I've had all these things happen. And it's like, why can I not like help somebody's situation? So just work hard, do it every day, know what to do, know what to say, keep going, and just know that like there's seasons. If you're in a dark season, just know spring's around the corner, and you just keep going and just don't stop. It's when you stop and get distracted is when legit, like there's a good book called Outwitting the Devil. Read that.
Oh yeah.
That's a good book,
Yeah.
right? Just know
Very
that
good one.
you're gonna go in your direction. So anyway,
Yeah. So good. Well, Justin, look, I consider you one of my dearest friends, and it has been incredible to watch truly like just your journey. And you start looking at just the impact you have and the way in which you impact people's lives. And I've said this to you before. There's two things I've always appreciated from you. And that is anytime I meet with you, you're always asking me, what can I do to help you? And number two, the real joy that is like my observation is watching who you've become in the process. And so many people, as they become more, sometimes become maybe more difficult, more challenging, more angry. It gives them the power of, even if you would say, the privilege of doing the things that maybe aren't so great because they've become economically strong. But I've observed in you specifically is that the more money you earn, the more success that you have, the more awards that you get, the more money you earn, that you choose to give more of yourself to others. And you have this beautiful hierarchy that many people don't figure out in their lifetime, which is strive to do the right thing, take care of the people, and then the money shows up. And if you do that order, you seem to create an extraordinary life, which you have done. So I'm so grateful for our time, and I'm grateful. This is kind of a new deal for us, where we're going to every single month interview, of course, a top agent, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to do it. You are our first man, number one
There you go.
on the list, and here
All
you
right,
are,
love it.
and you pulled it off. We've done it. So, guys, thank you everybody who's participated. Of course, this is going to be recorded, Justin. If there's parts and pieces of it that we want to throw out there on the social media, we'll be doing that. And grateful for all of our agents. And thank you again, Justin, for your time and your influence and your impact, not only on just our community of real estate, but specifically inside of our company.
Absolutely. Pleasure, man. Here to help.
All right, brother. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for attending.